about to react to this. Says how Dirk and the Mavericks did the impossible. That's very interesting. All right, how did they do the impossible?
By the start of the 2011 season, Dirk was getting old, Jason Terry was even older, and Jason Kidd was ancient. Before 2011, nobody believed that the Mavs could win a championship, and many thought this would be their last hurrah. But then, the Mavericks shocked the world, knocking out several heavyweights on their way to an NBA championship. The main narrative about the 2011 Mavs is that Dirk carried a bunch of bystanders to a title, and that they were a David who defeated the Goliath in the NBA Finals. But in retrospect, the 2011 Mavs were the prequel to modern basketball.
Really?
They were one of the most balanced teams in this millennium, and they should have actually been the favorites against the Heat in the finals.
I would love to hear that. The
Before the
reasoning
start
behind
of the
that.
2010-2011 NBA season, the Mavs shooting guard Jason Terry tattooed the Larry O'Brien trophy on his right
Oh, I
bicep.
heard about this
Everybody
one.
thought he was crazy, and that
I
in
wouldn't
less
blame
than a
that.
year's time, he was going to need a painful tattoo laser removal. For one thing, the Mavs' competition in the NBA was tougher than ever. The newly assembled Miami Super Team had the best player in the league, alongside another top 5 talent and a third future Hall of Famer in his prime. The Lakers had retained all the key players from their second straight championship run, and so did the Celtics. The Spurs were still the Spurs, the Thunder were on the rise, Chicago had a great team around Derrick Rose, and so did Orlando around Dwight Howard. Apart from the competition, the Mavs were on a bad streak of playoff losses, and their days as title contenders seemed to be over. Since their loss in the 2006 finals, they had only won one playoff series in the next 4 seasons. And
Damn.
maybe the biggest reason why nobody believed in the Mavs was because they were the oldest team in the league. Nowitzki, their only true star, was 32. Jason Terry was 33. Sean Marion, who would be 33 at the end of the season, could still play good defense, but was nowhere near the athlete he was in his prime. Tyson Chandler was a comparatively spry 28-year-old, but was already playing in his 10th NBA season, and had just come off a miserable injury-plagued season. And the 38-year-old Jason Kidd was on his last legs, leading the NBA in all-time minutes played among active
I
players.
didn't know he was that
At
young.
that point, only
He became an
5
NBA that
teams in
young.
the three-point era had won titles with just one All-Star, and 2 of them, the 98 Bulls and 95 Rockets, had Scottie Pippen and Clyde Drexler as their second-best players. The Mavs didn't even have anything resembling a second star, and even by the
I was about to say.
committee method, their supporting cast didn't exactly look like championship material.
Coy
Before
Brother
the
was
start
on
of the
that
season,
team? No
the
way.
Vegas picked 6 teams above the Mavs to win the championship. And if you put down $100 for Dallas to win, you'd walk home with $2,100. Still,
Oh,
despite
that's
being
rent money
underdogs,
today, I ain't gonna
Dallas
lie.
started the season strong. After the first 29 games, they had a 24-5 record and were on pace for a 67-win season, a tie for the franchise record. The Mavs had the best record in the NBA, but then Dirk went down with a knee injury and would miss the next 9 games. Dallas couldn't compete without their best player, and they lost 7 of those 9 games, which was a true testament that they would be a lot
What they lost to?
player, and they lost 7 of those 9.
So, also, they lost to some quality teams. I ain't gonna lie. The only team that I guess that Nets game and the T-Wolves, right?
Which was a true testament that they would be a lottery.
I don't know how the T-Wolves
to
were
make
that.
matters worse, during that span, they also lost Caron Butler, who tore the tendon that connected his knee to his shin bone.
Oh, damn.
Without their second leading scorer, even the Mavs' biggest supporters didn't believe they would be good enough for a title fight. But then, a complete resurgence. When Dirk returned, the Mavs went on a 10-game win streak and won 19 of their next 21 games. They finished the season with a 57-25 record, which was great, but not impressive. And although they surpassed the preseason over-under line by 7.5 wins, they were only the 5th best team in the regular season. The team had the 8th best offense and the 7th best defense in the league, which was the profile of a solid playoff team, but not exactly a championship contender, and certainly not the kind of team capable of winning it all. When the playoffs arrived, many analysts expected the Mavs to lose in the first round to the Trailblazers.
Questions about the Dallas Mavericks. Are they too old? Are they tough enough? Will they have another early season bow out in the playoffs? Does Dirk Nowitzki get enough support from a consistent second scorer?
A talented young team
those are good questions. I ain't gonna like it.
Trade for Gerald Wallace. And when Brandon Roy scored 18 points in the 4th quarter to spark a 23-point comeback in Game 4 that even the first-round series to 2 games apiece, it looked like the Mavs were on the brink of another playoff disappointment.
Somebody's got to pitch me. I must be dreaming.
But then, the Mavs started doing what they did all regular season. They were easily the league's most clutch team that year. And instead of falling back to mediocrity in the playoffs, they kept pulling out close wins, each one more extraordinary and improbable than the last. The more
Mm.
that was at stake, the better Dallas played in crunch time. With Nowitzki dominating on offense and Tyson Chandler holding down the defense, the Mavs won the next 2 games against the Trailblazers and proceeded to the second round against the defending champs. Against the Lakers in Game 1, the Mavs fell down quickly, but then erased a 16-point deficit in the third quarter. And while
Really?
Kobe shot lights out and dropped 36 points, the Mavs' second unit outscored the Lakers 40-25.
That's why it's good to have a good bench in the
Dallas
Lakers.
edged out the Lakers 96-90.
Ah, damn. So a bench is very important in the NBA, especially nowadays.
Game 2, the Mavs pulled away in the second half, taking a 2-0 lead back to Dallas. And after trailing for most of the second half in Game 3, they finished the game on a 17-5 run to secure the win.
Oh, I forgot about
After
Stojakovic.
Kobe played great in Game 1, Kidd, Chandler, and Sean Marion all played excellent defense to shut down the Black Mamba, who posted 23, 17, and 17
Damn.
points in the next 3 games. So without Kobe firing on all cylinders, the Lakers just collapsed. And against all odds, the Mavs swept the series, hitting 46% of their shots from deep. But then another opponent awaited, who on paper looked to be much better than Dallas. It was the OKC Thunder with Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Serge Ibaka, and led by a superstar unicorn in Kevin Durant, who was basically Dirk 2.0. And then,
I
against
guess,
the
yeah,
younger,
you could.
much more athletic version of himself, Nowitzki turned in perhaps his best playoff game ever in the first game of the series. Dirk scored
I heard this.
48 points on 12 of 15 shooting and a historic 24 of 24 from the line, which was a playoff record for most free throws without a miss. After losing Game 2 at home, the Mavs led from start to finish in Game 3 in OKC. In Game 4, it was the Thunder's turn to win, until Dallas erased a 15-point deficit with 5 minutes left in regulation to force overtime. In OT, Nowitzki outscored the Thunder 12-2,
Oh, damn.
finishing with 40
They didn't
points.
get.
In that
I guess
game,
that didn't work.
OKC led for 47 minutes and 15 seconds, only to end up losing. In Game 5, Dallas
Wait,
was
really?
again losing in the fourth quarter, and once again, they came through in the clutch, winning the series and proceeding to their second NBA Finals. The Finals was a rematch of the 2006 series between Dallas and Miami. Only this time, the Heat were not led by a young Dwayne Wade and an aging Shaquille O'Neal, but by Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh in their athletic prime.
There he goes.
Beautiful, man.
This
To watch.
trio had dominated the East and easily knocked out the 62-win Bulls in the conference finals. The Heat were younger, faster, and more athletic, and more talented than the Mavs, who were once again the heavy underdog.
Dirk just might not pass this way again. He's at the end of his 13th season. His point guard, Jason Kidd, is 38. Sean Marion, Jason Terry are 33 years of age. Dirk doesn't have a Dwayne Wade or even a Bosh.
And
Well, he
it
did,
started
but
according to the Vegas odds, who picked Miami as a 3-1 favorite.
Take every possession like it's his last. Every minute, every second, every quarter like it's his last, man.
Miami won Game 1 in commanding fashion and were well on their way to a 2-0 lead in the series. In Game 2, they led by 15 points with 6 minutes to go, highlighted by a Wade three-pointer from the corner that capped off a 13-0 run. But then, the Mavs did what they had been doing all year. They didn't give up in the clutch and started to slowly chip away at the lead.
So they're basically
After
the most
succeeding
resilient
in
team.
defense that put the game back within reach, Nowitzki took over. He finished the game on a personal 9-3 run, scoring the final 2 points when he made a left-handed layup in the final seconds of the game over Bosh. After the Heat won Game 3, LeBron and Wade were confident in their first title together. They were so confident that they decided to mock Nowitzki before.
Oh, I hate this moment, man.
Flew. Wade and Bron were caught on camera coughing. But this kind of disrespect only fueled the Mavericks in Game 4. Once again, the Mavs proved to be super hot in the clutch, overcoming another fourth quarter deficit and limiting the Heat to just 14 points in the quarter, on their way to another win. But other than Nowitzki's revenge game, the most notable thing was the Mavs' defense on LeBron. The Heat's role players couldn't stretch the floor, and neither could their big three, who were not known for their long-range shooting, allowing Dallas to mix a variety of zone and zone hybrid plays. With Chandler anchoring the back line, Kidd and Marion had the freedom to play great man defense on the perimeter, while weaker defenders like Terry and Nowitzki were hidden within this defensive concept. For long stretches of the series, Dallas kept James in check by using the much smaller Kidd as his primary defender. Kidd kept digging at the ball, and LeBron was unable to attack him off the dribble, partly because Chandler was able to help off the Heat's big men, and was always waiting to cut off James's driving lanes. LeBron couldn't get into any kind of rhythm in isolation and was unable or unwilling to penetrate off the dribble and was forced to rely on a shaky jump shot. James finished Game 4 with an appalling 8 points, a career low, and was completely passive in the fourth
So,
quarter. Then, in Game 5, it was much of the same. James was unbelievably passive in the fourth quarter, scoring just 2 points and 17 for the game, while the Mavs shooters buried the Heat, shooting a scorching hot 13 for 13 from deep. The Mavericks' backup
what?
point guard
I
JJ
never knew
Barea
that
was
one.
an unsolvable mystery for Miami's defense, and the speedy 5'11" Puerto Rican bobbed and weaved his way through traffic, giving them a huge boost with 17 points.
Barea, the high archer. That's a three. JJ Barea.
However, in Game 6, LeBron played better, while Dirk struggled. Nowitzki started the game going 1 for 12 in the first half, and 4 for 21 during the first 3.5 quarters. But thanks to Jason Terry and Barea, the Mavs still held an 81-77 lead with 8 minutes left, when the German beast finally woke up. Dirk scored 10 points in the final 7 minutes, hitting 5 for 6 from the field to clinch the game and the championship for Dallas.
For the first time in franchise history, the Dallas Mavericks have won the NBA championship.
It was one of the most clutch playoff runs in history, and some of Nowitzki's postseason stats were downright comical. In the 50 minutes of clutch time during the playoffs, Dirk scored 66 points on 77% true shooting percentage, including 15 of 28 from the field and a surreal 33 of 34 from the free throw line.
Wow.
The 2011 finals may be remembered as LeBron's greatest failure, but the 2011 playoffs will also be forever remembered as Dirk's masterpiece. He averaged 27.7 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 2.5 assists on 48, 46, 94 shooting splits. And after a good cry in the locker room, he deservedly hoisted the trophy for the finals MVP.
The MVP of this series, Dirk Nowitzki.
At the time, the Mavs title seemed like the 8th wonder of the world. But looking back 13 years later, it's clear that they should have been the title favorites from the get-go. They were a deeper team than Miami. They had better shooters and were a much more balanced team. Because other than the big three, who weren't yet accustomed to playing together, nobody on the Heat's roster provided a much-needed boost for them to win the championship. Mike Miller had a horrible series, averaging just 3 points, and Mike Bibby was even worse. Haslam averaged 6, and the starting center, Joel Anthony, was nothing more than just a big body, whose presence in the paint just clogged the lane and hurt the team's spacing. Anthony averaged just 1.3 points and 3.5 rebounds.
Man, this guy's trash, bro.
Which is catastrophic for a starting center. Mario Chalmers had an okay series, but nothing more than that. So when you combine a lack of bench production with the worst series of LeBron's life, you can't expect to win a championship. LeBron was just the 5th best scorer in the finals, with 17.8 points per game, and Dallas's coaches did a phenomenal job of keeping him in check. I wasn't that good of a player in that series. Carlisle and Dwayne Casey drew up a game plan against me to take away the things that I was very good at and try to make me do things that I wasn't very good at. And while Dallas might have been old, they had all the ingredients for a deep playoff run. A dominant scorer whose one-legged fadeaway was the most unstoppable weapon in basketball, a great defensive center who would win the Defensive Player of the Year in the following season, one of the greatest point guards of all time, and great wing defenders in Marion and Stevenson. Add in some great shooting from Terry, Barea, and Stojakovic, the Mavs team shot nearly 40% from 3 in the playoffs and had more weapons than anybody. 13 years later, the legacy of the 2011 Mavericks is still that of a one-star wonder, with many people believing that Dirk dragged a mediocre team to a title. But the truth is that they swept Kobe, nearly swept KD, Russ, and Harden, and then they completely embarrassed LeBron in the finals. The makeup of their team was ahead of its time. A great balance of defense and shooting, which we now know is a premium, and the only way you can win. After the championship, the Mavs disintegrated, and Dirk never won a playoff series again. But in the end, it doesn't matter, because he and Dallas will always have that glorious 2011 season, forever etched in NBA history. Thanks for watching.
So basically what I'm thinking, now I just realized something. I just realized that the defensive thing that they did for LeBron, they did, I think the Raptors kind of did the same thing for Giannis. They pretty much just put him in the paint, they made him a passer, so that way